That actually didn't work out the way I wanted. I think it was the wrong one.
I didn't know there was a different one.
Ugh. I'm curious. That's that Temptation Eyes, right?
Oh, I missed it actually. Oh, we can find out on the YouTubes. It took too long to find.
That was accurate. I think that it said Temptation Eyes, right? It was like the previous one. Tex, if you're there, was it the wrong? Was it the wrong one? I think that it was the wrong intro.
Dead Man is confused.
Dead Man, we're all confused. So, first of all, welcome to Quantum Leap Revisited, a show that we do once a week where we discuss the classic series Quantum Leap, the one starring Scott Bakula and Dean Stockwell. And this week we're talking about a season 4 episode called The Last Gunfighter. It's season 4, episode 14, I believe. And if you're wondering, first of all, on this wonderful panel, we have Sean, who was able to make it today. And
and none of those other guys from the intro.
It's so strange. It's like the day you arrived, they all disappeared. But no, Script, Nick, and Ro all have something where they all are on their way. It's just a matter of when they arrive. Each of them in their own way ran into some kind of last minute trouble, but hopefully it'll somehow work. It'll somehow work out. But regardless, we have Sean here, so that's a plus. At least that's like something different. So yeah, Tex is happy that at least you made it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were like, wait, Sean is going to be there. I'm out. Yeah. For those who don't know, Sean is an artist. He has his own comic book called Smacked in the Head, and you could find those comics at Krumm.
Oh man, it's been so long, dude. Let me just Crumb's Comics.
Crumb's Comics. Yeah. I was trying to think if I knew the link. Well, we'll share it throughout the stream, but you can get his comic, and he's doing a lot of great things these days. So he's also working hard and doing a lot of, he's very busy, and we're always happy when he can join us. And today it was just like he was the Mr. Wolf of this situation, because I don't know what's going on with the rest, but I know they're having some kind of trouble. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, this week, you watched the episode, right, Sean?
This morning, actually.
Nice. So
I'm behind on a bunch of others, but I watched this one this morning.
So this one is one that he jumps into like a former gunfighter that's now like an old man type of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And let me share the screen. Also great to see some people here. Always happy to see people like Super Mario Brothers, Tex Rogers, Lisa Katrayan, Marla Sharondoff, Mur Rockstra, The Dead Man, Mary White. So always happy to see. Tex Rogers, Mr. Wolf, that's from Quantum Leap, not Quantum Leap, from, I'm totally confused with that intro. It is from Pulp Fiction, that basically, if you're a Mr. Wolf, it's like based on what happens in that movie, they get into a pickle, and they need like a specialist to help them out, like a crisis manager type of guy. Only it's like a crisis manager for the mob, but it's funny because he's like comes in and he solves their stupid issues, and it's Harvey Keitel that plays it. It's pretty good. So yeah, I kind of a fixer, exactly, a fixer. That's the word. So Mr. Wolf is a fixer. So yeah, so Sean, for all sakes and purposes, is the Mr. Wolf, because I'm getting all these messages. They're like, oh, I'm stuck here, I'm stuck there, I'm stuck there. and suddenly I just walk in. I thought I was just going to be sitting around and talking to myself, and then like Sean is here. You didn't even say anything. Like you just showed up. So it was like you felt in the universe. You felt that you needed to show up here, and we're
I was
very.
I was hoping I could be. That's why I watched it today. I was like, I get off at like 9 p.m. and then I don't have to get up super early tomorrow, so I can jump on.
Well, we are very grateful, and I think the chat is happy to see you because it's a rare treat that we get to see you these days. So we're happy.
It's so depressing. I wish I could be here more.
Well, people do whatever they can. Mm-hmm. And I guess we'll start with this thing. Let me put it on mute. So, theorizing the ones to the be the leap home.
Uncanny.
You killed my 3 brothers. This town ain't big enough for the both of us. Maybe do you think we can talk about? Oh, sorry. First, it's like, oh boy. Do 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 do. Do, 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 do.
I wasn't aware that you were doing the intro song now too.
I don't know. I figured why not.
Nice.
So at this point, the episode starts. He's like, "Well, what's it gonna be?" And then he's like, "Well, I don't think we should fight. Violence is never the solution. Now, there's only one thing that can solve this problem: hot lead." And then he's like, he jumps. He basically just kind of like ducks, but the other guy sort of falls as if he got shot. And then everybody's clapping.
He does like a dive out of the way, and that's pretty impressive for like an 80-something-year-old.
82-year-old man. That was the biggest dive ever. I can't believe they weren't surprised how quick the guy did it.
Mm-hmm.
It's November 28th, 1957, Tex. So...
Did you say the director yet? Did we see
Not yet, because we didn't see it, but it's the last Gunfighter. Well, it's so good to see all y'all here, and we're so happy, and tomorrow he's going to demonstrate how he got the 4 Kagan brothers. He got rid of them, and he's going to do recreation. Now go buy food and drinks and spend money, y'all. And then he goes and... Mr. Taylor, can I have your autograph? Of course you can. He doesn't even know what his name is. He's signing it.
I love it.
All right, Grandpa, where you got these great stories? And well, I wish that person from Reader's Digest would never show up here to begin with. And then I'll see you at home. And then I guess here.
It's like the one time you see him.
Yeah, they want to show that he's old, and he is.
That the town does kind of look at him odd after that dive out of the way, though. So I pictured this guy doing that, and they'd be like, "What?"
Price of Reason Live. This is John Anderson's final role. He passed away 8 months later. I did not know that. Marla Sharendorf, I saw a video of the making of this episode. Interesting. I would watch that. The dead man is surprised he didn't break a hip. It is surprising.
It does raise questions again later.
Well, back in the old days, they called gunfighters
Pistoleros or
shootless. And I had the best quick draw artist in the mirror. Oh, that's later in the episode. Yes.
Mm-hmm. He's got a new icon also, Super Mario.
Rockstar is asking you when issue number 3 of your comic is coming out, John.
Life is kicking my ass right now, and I'm trying to get it sorted out for the print file to go to printing. So soon, hopefully.
Lisa Katryan says, always great to see the real Sean Krummel. So people are happy that you're here. I'm happy too. So at this point, he looks in the mirror and he sees him as old. And then I think this is the part where the kid sort of believes everything that his grandfather says, but this guy is not so believing.
Well, he's the sheriff that's talking trash about his grandfather, and then the kid talks sass back. even
Right.
before Sam knows what's going on.
Don't you talk that way about my grandfather. Yeah, it's easy to make things up, ain't it? And then they're like back home. Grandpa, why did the sheriff say that to you? Don't worry about it. Sam? What does he say?
He's like making fun of his outfit, but that's rich coming from Al
Right,
for all
that's
the
funny.
stuff that he ever wears.
You know what? Al has cool clothes. I like Al's outfits. They're cooler than this thing.
They are. But I could see Al wearing a dickie out of the blue for no reason.
I guess so. What does he tell Sam here? Remind me?
He's telling him who he is and what date it is, but Sam's basically, he already knows who he is, and he's reading the synopsis from like the Reader's Digest, basically. And he's like, "Do you want me to tell you, or do you want to?"
Oh, right. He's like, there were 4 brothers, and you went and you killed them, and you cleaned up the town. And then he goes back here, and then he's like, here's some. He gives him a drink, but he doesn't drink it. And he's like, it's okay, I don't need it. Since when? Is that here?
Yeah, yeah, because Al was telling him that the old guy is a drinker and likes to tell tall tales, and
Right.
he's gonna. I think it's here where he's already said that he's gonna die, and or no, it's like he does it so often, and he becomes too much of a too big on his own celebrity, and the town people like start getting tired of him, and then he's gonna die soon. Anyway.
And then this is the TV producer, Mr. Schneider, or whatever his name is. He's like, well, Mr. Schneider, well, I really love your stories. We can put you and give you your own show. So I'm thinking I have a contract, and we can do a TV show about your stories. Grandpa's got a lot of great stories. I'm sure he does. There's something like that.
Yeah. That guy's in a lot of stuff. That's I think Kenneth Tiger.
I don't know the actor's name, but then he's like, yeah, he got a lot of stories. Then he's like, it's okay, son. Sometimes people, he was kind of saying it's okay as long as it's good for television. As long as it's good for television.
Mm.
And then
is this the part that appears? Sorry.
Is this the part that Al shows up and says, oh, here, somehow Ro has returned.
Hey, everybody. I came just in the nick of time to hear Price doing his voices.
So in this part, is this the part that Al tells him that he's going to die or not yet?
I watched it this morning, and then
I watched it this morning too, and I'm trying to think what he said to him.
Where's Script? He would know.
Yeah, Script would know. Well, maybe he'll pop up and he'll be able to fill in the gap. Script, like, usually just remembers every line of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I forget one, it's just like, well, you said this and this and this. It's usually like word for word what he said. But yeah, okay. So
that man says he.
Yeah, I think this is where he tells him, because he tells him to go outside.
Yeah. And then Al is obsessed with the pair walking by.
Oh, yes. He's happy with the lady.
Al is in true form in this episode.
Yes.
I don't blame him.
I had a quick question. Is this too weird to have happened in 1954?
57.
50, like even later. 57?
It is a bit weird, but
like Old West?
Wyatt Earp didn't die until 1929.
It could be that this is a really kind of small town.
But it's like it's almost 1960.
I think that
it's a little weird. It's plot hole of all plot holes.
Hey, Tracy, how's it going?
I think it's a little odd.
I think it works if they're in their 80s.
If they are in their 80s and it's in 1950, so that means that, their young days were probably in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So maybe during that time you still had a little bit more of a Western vibe going on there.
Yeah, well, you mean like the shootout stuff. And,
yeah,
and why is no one calling the cops?
Right. I mean, the fact that the sheriff is there and he's just like, yeah, like he doesn't even care is kind of strange. but I don't know.
But
I'm willing to go with it.
I think they established that the sheriff is an a-hole anyway, so
Right, at least they did the minimum of them establishing that. I think
Yeah.
they just wanted a cool Western thing with Sam, and
Right. And
they
then
just
they did
needed that,
this.
and they just stretched it as much as they could. I mean,
Right.
first of all, this seems like it's a place like they're bringing in tourists, so it's not so much like they're a Western now as much as they want the tourists to come in. That's why at the beginning he's like, I hope y'all buy food and drinks and we'll recreate the murder, the thing tomorrow or whatever he says, because he wants people. Now it's like almost like, you know, how you go these days to those kind of recreation
Mm-hmm.
things that, like, I've been to those that you go and it looks like a saloon and all this stuff, and it's
Right.
just like, you know, actors and stuff. So that's the type of establishment this is. Even in 1957, the only part that you're right is a plot hole is that the sheriff is just like, oh, okay, there's a guy here that wants to kill people, and like nobody's doing anything. I mean, a few people at some point tell the sheriff, why aren't you doing something? And he's like, ugh. So
They really, the entire town really stood in character.
they all stayed in character. They didn't
Yeah.
want to break character. That was the whole thing.
Yeah.
They're so dedicated to giving that kind of old school Western vibe that they didn't want to break character.
I believe
So that's a good solution to it.
I found
then-
it sus, as the kids are saying.
It is kind of sus, I guess. And then he's like, Sam, you get killed. Yeah. And what is it? Because you got a partner.
No, they don't know that yet. This
They
guy
don't know
just
yet?
rides up and catches him talking to himself. I forget what the exact line is. Where's script?
I don't know where
Oh,
script
he's like-
is, but Nick is here.
Hey,
Oh, okay.
a wild Nick has appeared.
Oh,
Hey, how's it
somehow
going?
Nick has returned. Can you hear me, Nick?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we can.
Loud and clear.
Okay.
I hear you well.
Any echo or anything on my part?
No.
No, everything's good. We're wondering, what does he say to him here? I don't remember the exact line. He's like,
He's
Oh.
alluding to the fact that he was telling his story and making
Right.
it like it was his own. So then he takes out the Reader's Digest and says, basically, so you're the one that supposedly killed the Clampetts or whatever. And
Right.
he's like, yeah. And he goes, well, I don't know if you remember, but I was there too, and it was my story. So I'm gonna kill you. But first, I need a bed.
right. And then this guy comes out and he's like, excuse me, sir, is there any kind of problem with the Reader's Digest magazine article?
I think they allude to their being history. They don't just flat out say it yet, because
Yeah.
most of this episode, Sam is like, I have no idea why I'm here.
yeah.
And like in a scene or two, these two are gonna be talking, and he's like, he's been telling me some interesting stories, and Sam's like, oh, that would have been nice to hear, something like that.
Yeah.
I like this character too, the old guy.
He's great.
Yeah, he's like the best part of the episode.
Oh yeah. You know, he's the murderer of all the Husnock. And
Right.
Clampetts, apparently.
Yeah, right.
So is this John Anderson, this guy on the right?
I believe so.
Was he like a known actor in these type of westerns and stuff? Because it's
He carries it like he would be.
Tex would
Yeah.
know because he mentioned something.
They were like chatting about it when I got here in the chat.
Tex was there.
Tex was there in the Old West, yeah.
He gives such a good delivery, and I know they cut it. Did you catch a price that I was referencing TNG there? He gave such an amazing performance in that like now anytime I see him in anything, I immediately go to that, and I know this guy's gonna put out some good. You know, he gives such emotion without getting emotional, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He has a lot of character. That's why he's a character actor. And
Is
I guess I'm
Cowboy-
looking now, he was in a lot of episodes of Gunsmoke. And,
Oh.
you know, he's been on The Rifleman and something like that. So he had that kind of, he was on Bonanza. He certainly had on his resume, he had other stuff too, but it's nice he had on his resume westerns as
Perfect
well.
Strangers. Sorry.
He had Perfect Strangers.
Well, there's a point in this when Al's like walking down the street, and he's like, "That guy was in Bonanza." And
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted
Oh yeah,
to,
but that
like,
was That was the horse. He thought he saw Haas on the stagecoach going by.
Well, I wanted to go back and look and see if it was somebody who actually is in
Right.
Bonanza, like if it was an inside joke.
Yeah.
Well, I hope there's no
Almost-
problem.
Almost like when Kirk Benedict was at Universal and he sees a Cylon go by in the opening of A-Team.
Mhm.
Anyhow, so basically he's like, no, there won't be any problem. Don't worry about it. Oh, so some guy came and finally exposing you, huh?
Oh, he's like, I'll give odds that he kills you over under, and they're all like, I'll take some of that.
I'll take some of that.
And then he shows up, and I guess what do they say here? Remind me.
Sam is basically dead set against actually getting into a gunfight, and he's going to find another way.
Yeah,
There
the kid
has to
comes
be another
in.
way out.
Yeah, the kid comes in and reminds him not to run. Don't be a chicken.
This kid was really getting on my nerves after
He's
a
the
while.
most annoying kid, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and he has like no like realization of it because he's fantasized about this, but it's like you realize like there's a 50-50 shot your grandpa's gonna die if he does this. And he doesn't care. He's like, they're gonna laugh at me at school.
Right.
Right. He says that in a minute. He doesn't say that yet, but yeah, he says
Yeah.
that. And he's like, well, what does she say to him? You can't fight, can you? Or I don't know what. What does she say to him? Remind me. I don't know
Well,
why
right
I'm.
now she's talking about how, you promise that you're going to make things better. He's been promising a lot, and she says, I finally for once thought that was going to happen with this movie deal, but then you walk out, you're screwing it up basically, and now with this guy, he's lived a life of kind of being the drunk that lets her down.
Yeah, she wants him. She was hoping that the deal would be able to send the kid to college.
Mm-hmm.
And you're realizing that, I don't know if they've said it already, but basically,
Oh, yeah, they're like-
Sam is like the father figure since they lost the father.
Right, because they lost the father in Vietnam or something like that. Not Vietnam, in Korea or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think
And then, or maybe something else. I don't know. World War
Yeah,
II.
we're in 57. It would have been World War II.
World War II. Yeah, sorry. In any case, so she's like, he was going to go to college, and then he goes to the bar. I don't remember what this guy says to him, but then he like sits down. He's like, well, I remember the time that you and I.
Partner's a partner.
Yeah,
We
they
were
start to
partners.
Partner's always
reminisce.
a partner.
Start reminiscing about old times, and he's like, remember that time that we rode together?
They're talking
This
about
was when they were starting to
Girls
get
on the
drunk.
horses and
this. That part cracked me up. This is when they're talking about killing the four brothers, and then he had to ride off to go comfort the sister. And then he
No,
didn't come
that
back
is,
for
I
him.
think, is in the scene later when he's trying to shoot the
Yeah.
gun. That's when he shows up and he tells that story, and he's like, "It took me
No,
a
no,
long
no, no.
time to comfort her."
No, it was this part because they
It was when they
was
were
right
already
here.
drunk.
they start
yeah,
reminiscing.
here's where he's telling
This
him
is the
that.
part where he says about the comforting. I needed to comfort that lady. Well, where were you? It took me a
Oh.
long time. It was something here. That's what happened.
She needed a
Okay.
lot of comfort.
So how did
She needed a lot of comfort.
when did they start reminiscing about that they started?
They
was a
just
woman.
reminisced about
Oh,
a
it was a
number of
different
different
woman.
jobs.
And then
It was a
and then
different woman that they were trying to settle on, and rather than kill each other, they started drinking it out. So
Right. Remember that time? And the Patience was her name, but she was anything but. And then you and I, we ended up sharing a bottle and partners for life. That's right, partners for life. Or something like that. I'm paraphrasing.
And
but
then he
that's the
like
main-
just dropped, but it's a shame I still have to kill you tomorrow.
yeah,
It's a shame I still have to kill you tomorrow. And then he goes, oh, remember that time that we went and with that guy and the horses and the young ladies and the daughters? And then he was like, I don't remember no daughters. Oh, well, my memory is playing games with me or something like that.
that gave me a good laugh because they're both laughing like it actually happened, and then he's like, "I don't remember any sisters."
Right. Oh, maybe I saw it on TV. Ha, 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 ha. It'll be a shame to kill you. And then
If you can hit me.
If you can hit me, right? And then he demonstrates that he can still aim,
Yeah.
even drunk.
Right.
What I find funny, and I know this.
Oh,
is
right.
the
He
50s,
shoots the guy in the bottle. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
but they're both admitting to murdering people in this
They're
conversation.
cowboys,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, they're
But
cowboys.
the sheriff is
1957.
right there. This is in the 50s. This is not like in the 1800s. Like,
That's
so
what I'm
the fact that
saying.
they're like just admitting
He's
to
an-
murder in front of a
he's-
sheriff.
He's an a-hole, and I guess statute of limitations.
Well,
I don't know.
Maybe in this town they
a
have
guy
their
like
own
that,
rules.
he should just arrest him.
But he's
You
a
know,
jerk. He wants to. If he arrests them, he can't collect the money for being the bookie of the town too.
Yeah.
You know, in 1957, I guess, they still had, in a small town like this, they still had their own kind of,
Law.
Justice.
their own kind of
Street
justice, I guess. I'm just going to go with that. And then he's like, Grandpa, what happened? Oh, don't worry. I just couldn't find the door.
He's
I
like,
like
there's a hole. Watch out."
Yeah, I love that. I love that little dialogue there. He goes, "Oh, there's a hole there.
Hole.
Wow, watch out." I wonder if that
Right.
was actually scripted or if he just kind of thought of it.
And then he's like, but kids are going to make fun of me and they're going to say that you're my
Yeah.
grandfather. Isn't you? And he's like,
Yeah.
don't.
I'll be dead.
But then he says something like, well, the thing is, you never have to worry about what other people have to say about you. And it might sound corny, but you
Life
only
is
have to
precious,
Life is precious, and you only have to care about yourself,
y'all.
And then Sam, you still die tomorrow. And then this is when they do the shooting. So like he's teaching him. He's like,
yeah.
this is the part that Super Mario Brothers 3 wrote. I trained with one of the best rifle person in
Boom Boom LaRue.
Yeah.
right.
Even Sam's like, "Oh, come on."
It was funny because Sam was like me previously. She's like, let me guess. You were an expert gunslinger, part of the gunslinger club associate. You know, he's just going on. And then when he tells him that it was a stripper, he's like, of course it was.
And then Lisa Katrine says, and this is what Ro was saying, they must have really wanted to do a Western despite the quantum leap rules about leaping in Sam's lifetime and just went for it anyways, even though it doesn't make much sense. True. I mean, they did say it was in modern times, and the fact that they're doing those kind of shows is because they're kind of putting on a show for tourists. So that's all fine. The only part that really doesn't make sense is that this guy would show up with a gun and the sheriff would just be so, like, you know, oblivious, like he's just like sitting there, oh, whatever, like he doesn't even care. That's the part that doesn't quite make sense. But there have been corrupt towns, you know, maybe in a little town. I'm not saying that it's highly likely, but I don't know.
I buy it. I buy all of it.
I mean, don't forget that in the 50s there were times that things
pushover.
happened, and sometimes in these small towns, and the law wasn't really, you know, people took the law into their own hands in some of these more like rural areas. And
I don't know. Might be a little more believable if it was Texas.
maybe.
But yeah.
But I guess I'm thinking of Arizona now because Arizona is so uppity.
And
I
then
I think you're right with the questionable practices of small towns in the 1950s and 60s. I totally agree that this is totally plausible.
sometimes they had their own version of justice. I'm not saying that this would happen in every town, but I could imagine that somewhere in a small town in some like more rural area, the sheriff would be like an asshole and just be sitting around there, and I
think
don't know.
this show has given plenty of examples of a-hole populace taking the law into their own hands.
Right, especially in the 50s and stuff. I mean, yeah, we've seen different examples of it. It's not completely unlikely.
You know what's also strange is we don't really see any deputies.
No, there's just that one sheriff that's just...
There's that one sheriff. So it's like, how small is this little town?
We're gonna imagine that it's very small, and then this guy comes along and he shoots all the stuff, and like, yeah, I can still shoot. And then this is the part that he goes, well, yeah, I wasn't there. You weren't there alone. We did it together. Well, I ain't tell. What was it? I didn't tell my story to anybody. And where were you? Where did you go? I went to comfort that young lady. This is the part that I didn't understand. Did he kill her brothers and then go to comfort her because he killed her
Yes.
brothers?
Yeah, he
Yes.
said he had to tell her and comfort her, which I don't know that she would be
That is the part.
comforted.
That is the part that was the biggest plot hole for me, bro, because it's like you just killed her brothers and you're going to go and like comfort her. Why would you want your comfort if you shot her brothers?
Mm.
That's the weirdest part in this whole story. In the whole thing, I can accept the jerk sheriff guy that nobody can trust. I can somehow accept that. The guy like comforting the woman after he killed her brothers is just strange.
He's like, I'm gonna make you love me.
It
And I
felt
feel
more
like he
Viking
could.
than cowboy. You know,
Mm.
oh yeah, I wiped out your family and now you're my wife.
It sure took me a long time to comfort her. And then
Oh, he's like, you also ambushed one or two of them or something. So it wasn't a straight up fair fight. So he embellished his story.
right.
And he's like, that's what I did. And he's like, there's a difference between just flat out saying that you did it.
You
I don't
flat out
see it.
lied. So in any case, he keeps walking, and then he's like, "Grandpa, you're not going to go fight him? No, this is not good. Like, there's something you don't have to do. But all the people are there." Again, this whiny, annoying kid. They're all going to laugh at me, the kids. What are we going to do? What am I going to say? And, like, he's a really annoying kid. I agree with you. Whoever said that.
He's just getting on my nerves.
Yeah. And
Well, they're
then-
saying like he's gonna grow up. Sam's gonna die. He's gonna grow up, end up in a bar fight and getting
Right.
killed,
Yeah.
and then doesn't he like
Right.
become like a bank robber or something?
Right, because he loses faith because this guy was like his big,
He was his father figure,
right.
his moral compass.
Yeah,
Nick, is that
you know.
is that a new microphone?
No, it's
Yeah,
the
he's
one
used
that I
it before.
used time before last, and then last time I couldn't
Oh.
get it to work.
Okay.
It's a good microphone.
If I am muting a bunch, it's because it started hailing.
Oh.
So
Oh,
No, it's
I'm-
fine. That sounds
I
good.
don't know if it's coming through or not, or because I got background noise cancellation on.
I don't hear.
Sounds good to me. I
Good.
think that sounds good personally. So let's see if people have some comments here. We're all on the same wavelength tonight. I don't know what that means.
The chat takes on a whole new show on their own.
They do. It wasn't a jerk sheriff. It's how they pulled over people for trivial reasons.
Sounds jerkish to me.
I mean,
that never happens.
I guess what I'm saying is that I could totally imagine there were very kind of slippery sheriffs in these kind of small towns in the 50s. I'm not saying that all of them were like it, but let's assume that one of them was some guy like this that just sits around drinking, has a tourist town, doesn't care, and doesn't even like this guy. He thinks he's annoying. He doesn't care what happens to him.
I think there's a big difference between pulling somebody over on a trivial matter to kind of enforce your power and having two guys openly saying that they're going to have an illegal shooting. One of them is going to kill the other one, and the other one's going to be trying to kill the other one. And he places bets on it instead of just arresting them right there and then.
Maybe he thinks they'll kill him if he interferes. They are old cowboys.
Tex Rogers says this is still far better than the new Quantum Leap Western show.
Yes, somebody mentioned the new show.
Right, no, but I'll
Take
tell
a
you why,
drink.
because they had an episode that I feel like they wanted to sort of copy the idea from here, sort of, I guess. And they had him go, but in the new show, they didn't have any limitations on where he could go. So he just went to the 1800s because they didn't
Oh.
care to go within his lifetime. So he goes to the 1800s, and there, again, I'm not saying that this is like justice or it's what's right or not right, but for him to arrive in the Wild West in the 1800s, and for there to be like a black sheriff, a black like bar manager, and like all these like diverse, there were people from like Asia, there were like people that were Latino. It was a bit odd, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't make sense in that setting, you know what I mean? Like
It's like watching
I'm-
a flamingo bark.
Like if you went now to whatever that location is, all those people would be there. That 100% they would be there. I'm just saying that like in the 1800s, I don't know whatever we got in that episode if that rings true. And I had that criticism towards the show all the time that every episode they're like, how can we do like the most diverse casting? And sometimes if you're traveling to a certain place in a certain time, sometimes that casting just won't make sense. It's not a matter of like being nice or not nice. It's the same way I felt when on Doctor Who he met Isaac Newton and Isaac Newton was from India. I don't know why Isaac Newton was from India. He's certainly originally the real person wasn't from India. If you're doing like a historical thing, him being from India is strange. It's not historically accurate. But the thing is, if you say it, people are like, oh, you're such a terrible person. But the thing is, Isaac Newton, you could look it up. He wasn't from India. He really wasn't.
It's alternative facts, Price. Alternative facts.
Alternative facts. No, and then the thing is that one of the people on that show with the India, Stephen Moffat, he actually said it prior. He's like, well, sometimes we just have to like change history so that that it fits with like modern times. But if it's history, why would it need to fit with modern times? That's just me, and especially like in a time travel show. You know what I mean? Like,
was that Moffat's episode?
No, it wasn't his.
Okay.
I don't think it was his, but I think that Moffat later, or at some point they interviewed him, and he mentioned, I don't know if he mentioned about Isaac Newton, but he was basically mentioning that they know that they're doing stuff that wasn't historically accurate, and they're just like, F it. Because it's nice to kind of show, like, do a modern day demographic, but again, don't really understand that myself.
It's also easier if you don't have to try very hard and you just make it up as you go.
Ooh, I see Lisa could try and actually watch that crappy Doctor Who episode. Yes, Mavity, that stupid running joke that they won't leave it alone. Now, like every episode, because instead of gravity, he calls it Mavity.
Oh yeah, I think I remember they did that on that first episode. I mean,
Price is based. Thanks, Mary. Yeah. So, listen. I mean, at the end of the day, there are certain periods in history, and when you have a guy traveling in a time travel show, it should be as similar as it can be to whatever that thing was. Because if you just make it look like modern times, like as if you're traveling now in 2025 to that place, then it doesn't look like he's time traveling.
mm-hmm.
Now, in Devil's Advocate here, because I was actually on another channel talking about this with Christian Fandom Geek, who's also part of our Red 5 network. But the interesting thing is because we've actually been trained somewhat for the Old West to think of it just kind of as a white man and Indians here, but there was a lot of black cowboys, specifically because they were moving out to the West to get away from all the strife that was going over on in the South. Some were escaping to the West. And then you also had, I know in California, a lot of our cowboy history has a lot of Chinese in it, simply because they were coming over here for the gold rush, and they were basically going to China and promising jobs to work on the railroad, on the Continental Railroad. And so they were being brought over here. So there was a lot of Chinese in the Old West here in California. I imagine there'd be a little spillover maybe to Arizona, but yeah, I wouldn't think of them as the town sheriff, like you said, but it wouldn't be impossible to see them there. But they also, you would see a community where racial slurs and different stuff, they would not be treated fairly.
I'll tell you what, if they already went there, I mean, historically, probably there would be negative things like that going on, but they want to go there, but they also don't want to show the negativity, and they want to show the mentality of 2025. And in any other show, if you're doing a show about people now, there's no problem with that whatsoever. It's just like if you're trying to show, it's like if you did a show about World War II and you showed the mustache man and he's hanging out with a lot of like Jewish people and they're all friends, that would be strange.
Oh, it took me a while to figure out who you meant. Huh.
If we were in Germany with the mustache man and like all he's best friends with like all the Jewish community and stuff, that doesn't make any sense. Sometimes, when you do something about history, you kind of have to sort of stay true to it. But that's just my personal opinion. I
think the whole philosophy of the people making that type of stuff is that mentality of destroy the past if you can't, or what is it? Forget the past, destroy it if you can. I think that's been Hollywood's mentality for the last 10 years.
They've become just too politically correct, and I think that instead of just if you don't acknowledge certain things in history, you can't learn from that history. I think that this show, on many occasions, actually went to different things that had to do with like racial relations, and it actually took the time to tell stories that made you think, about those issues, and think about them not in a weird like the new one thing that they're trying to sort of ignore what happened. I don't know. I think that some of those episodes with Sam leaping into like the Watts riots, different things like that, those were very powerful episodes, and I think especially that we're seeing it through his eyes and his shoes that he's leaped into this situation. I thought that episodes like that were very powerful, and they do a lot more to show like things that are historical and make you think about things, and they still stay true to this sci-fi, and it's still a time travel show. So for me, that's the best way to do it.
But Price, the history hurts our feelings.
There's bad things that happen in history. I mean, we can't pretend that like everything in history was always great. And yeah, that's just my opinion, of course. But back to this wonderful thing that we're.
You lost your window.
He's got to switch files.
I gotta switch the file. It's the intermission.
It's like the cigarette burn when you switch reels.
Oh, yeah. Somebody mentioned that last week. I think it was either Tex or Ron said that when we switch files, we should burn in like the little circle marker in the top right-hand corner.
Good. I approve.
Yes. I'm so glad that came back around, especially tonight, because you're here.
Lisa says, agree, Price, done without being preachy. Yeah, I mean, it's like all I know is that time travel, you can't sell the time travel. Here, we're arguing about this episode. We're arguing because we think that the sheriff is too much of a jerk for 1957, which is, that's our debate. Imagine what we would be thinking if we saw like the Quantum Leap one that he goes to the 1800s and like it's like the most diverse like Western situation ever. I think that would be a lot more difficult to believe. Hero.
There you go.
So in any case, back to our thing. Then they wait here, and then he comes in, and then
it's like, I got time to kill anyone for a hand. And then they're like, Sheriff, aren't you going to do anything? And he's like, there's no crime against playing poker even by yourself.
Right.
You all. The annoying kid comes in.
You told my grandfather. Why did you say those lies? Sam, you're going to run away? It's not going to solve it. He's still there. And then he's...
It's very faint. It's very faint, Nick. The hail. It's not...
Son, I ain't got no beef with you. Yeah, well, you talk to my grandfather. And then it's like, I think here Al's like, uh-oh. And then like,
well, I think it's funny, like he asks him how old he is. And he's like, wow, I was 15 when I killed my first man.
I guess they grow up faster nowadays.
Tracy Alexander says that they don't hear hail. I guess you're worried about hail, but I don't think there's any hail that anybody's worried about. Yes, there's a... How old are you, son? I'm 13. Well, I was 15 when I did my first killing. All right, that's enough. Ding, 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 because it's like 12 noon. It's high noon. And then Sam, and then like I guess he goes and this is what he puts on. Well, if you're gonna do that, you're gonna need something. And then like they look at their suit.
He needs his outfit.
He needs his outfit and his gun or whatever this is. And then as the party goes out,
What was the?
Now we're
here.
here. Now we're hearing.
now we're hearing it. That was some real hail.
What was the thing earlier where Sam is like, I'm like 40 years younger than him. I can do stuff or whatever. Because I feel like that plays a big part in how this
Right.
wraps up.
Does he say that, something like that?
Earlier in the episode, but I can't remember exactly what.
But the thing is that once Sam pulls out, the gun, I actually like that they did a little bit of a Western thing. I mean, this is probably the whole reason why they did this episode.
Right, exactly.
They just wanted this thing with the cowboys and like do the thing. That's all they wanted, and they got it done. But once Sam pulls out the gun and he points it at him, at this point, the guy can Sam's not pulling the trigger. The guy could have still pulled out his gun and pulled the trigger. No.
He has him dead to rights. He knows that he's lost. Because he fumbles and it's not even out of the holster. He's like, I can kill you now or I can let you live. Or he doesn't say that, but it's implied.
But it's very lucky. Like, why did he fumble it? He was doing really well yesterday with the beer cans or whatever.
This is what I don't understand. Is him fumbling it. I mean, they expressed how skilled he was, and then all of a sudden he's got molasses in his holster.
Well, it's the moment of truth.
But when it was all those bottles in the bar, like he did that super fast. And
right. It seems like he could do this.
When he was practicing, like he was having trouble getting it out of the holster. So it was like kind of funny how quickly it changed.
Rondon Affair says he fumbles it on purpose, but I don't think he does.
Deadman says Sam says he has faster reflexes, but Al says the other guy has better aim.
Rondon Affair says
he fumbles on purpose.
Rondon Affair says not luck. He fumbles on purpose. The kid made him think it over. Just my opinion. But he was going to kill the kid. I don't know.
I don't get that at all.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that it is possible. The dead man is saying Sam says he has faster reflexes, but Al says the other guy has better aim. But Sam doesn't have to show that he's good at shooting. He just needs to have the gun out first. And once the other guy sees that the gun is out, he's like, okay. Even though probably with his aim, he could have just killed Sam.
What would have been more powerful is that if Sam just, revealed the gun and didn't do anything or took it out and then dropped it. I mean, there should have been some sort
shot
of
him.
Well, if you made it so no bullets were exchanged. I mean, I think there would have been a really interesting
I thought that's what he was going to do.
Yeah, an interesting way to kind of resolve it without the notion of violence. And then especially when they go back into the bar during the last scene and they're like, hey, you want to be on this NBC show with me? Let's all get together. So it seemed a little weird how this scene played out.
I was trying to expecting it to have him drop the gun and then make a big thing and says, I know the story that I've told is kind of grown up to this, but we did it together. And then there'd be some resolve.
That's stupid cheesy. Al is trying to convince him not to even walk into the fight. And Sam is like, sometimes a man just has to face his fate. And I thought that sealed it up perfectly. And earlier in the episode, which is why I brought it up, he says something about I've got faster reflexes, I think, because I'm like 40 years younger, which is also shown when he first does the gunfight when we first leap in, where he does the dive. And I'm certain that the town is like staring at him because he dove out of the way and he's like 82 years old and they didn't expect that. So I think the whole purpose, and I was trying to save this for our wrap up, but God or fate or whatever it is, I think only put him in this scenario so that he would have the younger reflexes to solve the whole problem. He was just going to be younger and faster to help the guy out.
It is true that in all the other places, I think he already had the gun in his hand. We didn't see him do the reflex in all the other places. It could be that actually the reflex of taking out the gun was difficult for this guy. Marla Sharendorf says, "Could I mean the guy is 82 years old, right? Now, granted, he's more accurate than I am, but my reflexes have got to be faster." I guess that's a quote from the episode.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think that we've seen a lot. We've seen that he has the gun in his hand and that he's good with the aim, but they don't necessarily make a point of showing that he's that fast with drawing it. So maybe that was the edge that Sam had, that he could draw faster than him. Again, that and the sheriff is a lot of suspending disbelief this time. By the way, this is another case where it is Sam himself that is leaping. It is not his soul that is inhabiting the other guy's body.
That's what I was also thinking about.
But faster reflexes don't help you if you can't hit what you're supposed to. Yeah, but this guy may not have known. He doesn't know that Sam is in this guy's, body. He doesn't understand quantum leaping. He understands that Sam pulled out the gun quickly, and that's enough for him to, And he doesn't even shoot him. He's just like, forget about it. And then
he knows he's dead. That's why he has that look on his face.
And then they all walk in, and then he's like, "Well, yeah, you're great, hey, Grandpa." And then he's like,
"No hard feelings, yo.
No hard feelings, yo." And then he's like, "Well, there's nothing left for me. Everything's been taken away from me. Mr. Snyder, do you think that maybe we can add him in as a consultant to the show? He just tried to kill you." "Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't see a problem with that." And then he's like, "And maybe he can even be an actor on the show, maybe in a certain part." "Yeah, I could see that."
Exactly, Ron. I second that motion. Here,
They don't exactly explain the gunfight. Minute per minute, inch by inch.
And then
I love this shot when he hits his head.
"All right, ladies, it's time. Come out." Oh boy.
And he pulls a stormtrooper there and hits his head.
Well, speaking of which, Sean, did you catch the Star Wars line that was said in this episode? Come on.
I should have.
You should.
Dude, it was this morning. Like, as soon as I woke up, I had to watch it and then go to work.
The lady, the mother of the annoying child, when they were in the kitchen towards the middle of the episode, they were talking right before he leaves, right before Sam leaves. She says, "I have a bad feeling about this."
I missed that entirely. I usually catch those, though. That's disappointing. I'll have to go back and watch the whole episode now just because of that.
Yeah. You've been working too hard, Sean.
I have. I had to unload a semi-truck by myself.
Price of Reason Live, Bonnie Morgan is Cindy Best, known for The Ring 2 and the infamous Spider Crawl as Samara.
That's her.
That's her.
If you look up the IMDb, she has like a leg over her head.
Other acting credits: Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman, CSI, Blossom, The Last Witch Hunter. Thank you, Super Mario Brothers 3. I like how it sort of looks like Super Mario Brothers 3, your avatar, but not exactly.
I dig it.
Ron and Afero, this is the problem with the episode. They don't really explain the gunfight. I agree. Lisa could try, and maybe Al's training kicked in and Sam is suddenly faster.
Okay.
I think
especially if you're getting over a hangover.
I think the whole episode, Sam has overthought the entire scenario, and he's just there to be fast.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this episode required a bit of suspension of disbelief, I admit it. But it's all right. It does whatever it's supposed to do, I guess. They wanted their Western episode, and they got it. I mean, we were talking about how they tried to, try to do things that they haven't done before in this episode. And I guess they were really itching for a showdown like this.
Dead Man's like, "Can we get a play-by-play on the gunfight?" Well, we got the players on the field. It's a nice day.
Yes. Spike.
Ron Donofero just gave a $5 super chat. That is
Very
super nice of you, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Ron. And yes, hit the like button if you can. It's very cool of you. I think you then did another one. You did like 2.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you
saw
so
2.
much, Ron. That's very twice for effect. That is so nice of you, man.
One for
did
each
he really
eye.
have one?
One for each eye. Yes.
Right. That's like, I was
Look,
thinking to
and-
myself, is that like a glitch in the Matrix? And then no, it
Yeah.
was like he actually sent it twice.
And look at his wonderful icon of him in a little plane.
Oh, that's true, but I can't see him well.
Yeah, he's in there. He's
in there. He's in
He's
that
in there.
plane.
he's playing it safe. He's got his safety
Got his
belt
goggles
around
on.
him.
Yeah.
Goggles. His Hawaiian shirt.
This bombardier.
No bombardier. That's actually his hair.
No.
Tex has a good point. It would have been cool to have him riding off into the sunset when he leaps.
Yes, that would have been very cool.
Yes,
I agree with you.
Hashtag missed opportunity.
But where would he be riding to?
Right.
Grandpa's like, peace out.
Hey.
Or
When
they
something's
just-
that awesome of an idea,
Or they just
Life
cut
finds a
to a
way.
shot of them both riding next to each other and they're friends now.
yeah.
They're like, we can't afford the horses. We used them for the other shot.
Right.
I can't hit the like button. It's impossible because I can't even type right now. Don't know exactly what that means, what kind of compromising position you're in, the dead man, but
Sure.
I
Use your
understand.
toes.
Well, maybe he's driving and doing speech to text. I do that every now and then people go, "What did you mean?" And I look
Yeah,
back and I
like
go,
that.
"Okay, Google's crazy."
That's not what I meant.
You know what I was thinking, although it's probably not nice that I was thinking? I was thinking of that episode of Seinfeld where George wants to find a way to, be in bed with his girlfriend, but eat a sandwich at the same time.
And watch TV.
You saw it?
Yes.
You
Seen
watched
every
Seinfeld?
episode of Seinfeld.
You have?
Yes, I watched it when it was coming on.
It's
I'm
not the type of
surprised.
show
I don't
that
know.
think
I
you would
actually
like.
I didn't figure you for like a Seinfeld viewer. See, sometimes you surprise me, Nick.
Yes, I've seen very much Seinfeld.
Very
and I've
much
watched
Seinfeld.
Cheers and Wings and
Those were good shows though, weren't they?
yes.
Are they considered like offensive or anything, or there's nothing
I'm
wrong with
sure.
them?
I'm sure they do somewhere.
I mean, by today's standards, I'm sure a lot of things in Seinfeld are kind of considered offensive.
All the more
and
reason
at that
to
time,
watch
I think some of it was considered risque at the time, but I mean, it's the same formula. Like if you were to examine any of those kind of adult, like Friends, How I Met Your Mother, they're all trying to recapture what Seinfeld had.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, having the crew of like 4 to 5 adults and having them just having open conversations that are not polite in normal public.
That's a great statement.
Muroxtra says, still makes me laugh a little when we're discussing the reality of things in a show about time traveling. I get it. We're discussing it in the context of the rules of the show. It's true though. Every show has its own world and its own set of rules, and whatever you're watching has to make sense to you within that world.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's a responsibility that sci-fi shows have. It's a huge responsibility, and you have to always
Sometimes
like
people don't
stick
get it
to
right.
it. Yeah.
And it's funny, you can have the craziest nonsense, but if you stray from the rule you've established,
Right.
people will immediately call you out on it.
Sure.
Of course.
Well, it's just funny, how what things are believable in a universe and what things aren't. Because I was just watching an episode of DS9 where O'Brien's like traveling back in time and there's multiple O'Briens. And Quark is arguing with him, wanting him to get to work on something. He just sees another O'Brien behind him, and he's like, actually, you got bigger things to worry about. And he doesn't freak out. He doesn't like, oh, this is the world of Star Trek. Like that just happens. People have duplicates pop out of nowhere.
He's seen some stuff.
Because he's not aware of the plot or what's going on. Like he's just the bartender, but he's like, never mind. But it's like, so in this world, it's like because it's based on like, this is our past, we expect that part to be in line with truth. You know, like all the crazy sci-fi stuff can happen, but you know, when you're going back in time, you know, you expect that time period to represent what we know about it.
Right. I mean, yeah, you have to time travel. You can only believe it if the person looks like they're traveling through time. If it looks like they traveled to 2025, only like they're pretending to be like 100 years ago, you're just not going to believe it because things didn't look the same 100 years ago. So it's exactly
except for chairs, right, Nick?
Yeah.
Chairs.
You had
He's
to be there.
referring to his wife.
My wife couldn't get into the fact that there were regular looking chairs and things in Minority Report and I was trying to tell her that anyways, it's a long story. You got another
Form and function.
Oh, wait, hold on 1 second. You're right.
Another super chat. Don't let that go away.
Absolutely. Mary White. So when we get done with all the episodes of QL, are we doing sliders next? Well, as we get towards that time, we're gonna start brainstorming and also, you know, hear your thoughts on it, on what would be a good show to do next.
Yeah, we want something that our regulars are going to be interested in and that we'll be willing to commit to.
Right. So there's certainly a few ideas, you know, a few things. There's no shortage of good sci-fi shows, and I feel like we'll be able to find something.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good question, and definitely that could be something part of the conversation. From what I remember, this is just me personally, I remember Sliders starting off strong, like maybe the first season of it or something like that. I remember enjoying it, but I also remember it kind of going off a cliff. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I feel like actors left, the doctor left, Jonathan Risday, whatever his name is, left, I think.
Reese
and then,
Davies.
Yeah.
And then one guy, I thought he left and his brother showed up. I don't know if
No,
I'm making any sense. I feel like I'm crazy that a guy left and his brother replaced him.
Mm.
Am I making any sense?
I've never seen the show.
So I've only seen one episode, and that was somebody gave me a burned copy of Stargate Atlantis that they had recorded off of the television, and they accidentally substituted one of the episodes with an episode of Sliders.
Oops.
I was so confused. But it's one of those shows that when people know what I like and then they hear that I haven't seen it, they like, oh, you gotta go watch it. And it's like, yeah, it's on the list. I have a couple of things like that.
Mary Tracy Alexander was thinking that she meant Timeless. Timeless was a show that it was an NBC show. It started off, it had a likable enough cast, I guess. The main lady, I don't remember the actress name, but she also played on Suits. I didn't
Abigail Spencer.
Abigail Spencer, that's right. Nice shot. Very good stuff.
I just pulled up the window.
So in any case, I thought that the show had potential, but it kind of that one fell off a cliff too. And I know they renewed it and then they didn't renew it.
Show where the guy could only leap back in time 5 days.
I don't know what. You know what show was pretty cool?
Was that the show that was based in Chicago? The newspaper guy?
I can't. No, not the guy who got like tomorrow's newspaper.
Early edition.
Yeah, early edition.
No, there was a thing where it was like a 9/11 event was happening like every week, and so he'd go back to the beginning of the week with the knowledge of what was going to happen, and he'd have like 5 days to stop this like nuclear war, world-ending event, assassination, whatever it was. That's a show I remember.
Says it didn't go off a cliff. In the 4th season, they discovered the main character, Quinn, was actually from a different Earth, and he had a brother. Now, that whatever you're saying doesn't rule out the fact that it fell off a cliff. But what I'm saying is, I thought that one actor left, and the guy's real brother in real life replaced him.
Was it Jerry O'Connell?
Jerry O'Connell, but did another O'Connell replace Jerry O'Connell as an O'Connell?
I think it was another character in the show, because I kind of do remember the flim flam during that time.
You know what was good? Travelers was a pretty good show. I don't know if you saw that.
I want to watch that because that's a Brad Wright show.
Charlie O'Connell is his brother.
And is he on the show?
Yes, he is.
Did he
listed in the
replace
cast.
him?
I would have to read a little more.
Trust me when I tell you, Jerry O'Connell leaves and is like, basically, back in the day, sometimes they did these weird things. I think that Jerry O'Connell just wanted to leave the show, and he's like, "Hey, I got a solution for you. I'll leave, and here's my brother." And they're like, "But your brother's not you." "Yeah, but he kind of looks like me." And then they're like, "Fine, we'll take your brother." It's the same thing that happened on 21 Jump Street when Peter DeLuise left. He's like, "Hey, I got another brother. I don't know what it was called, like Sean DeLuise or whatever his name is." He's like, "Why don't you put him here, and then you'll still have a DeLuise. It just won't be me." And they're like, "Sure." I'm thinking to myself, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But I guess that's how they used to solve things back in the day.
And
Sorry, you meant that it did go off a cliff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's see, who is it? Okay, so we've had a few other suggestions. Someone said Babylon 5, and we did talk about that a little bit. I have the fear none of us have seen that, so we don't actually know. It would be really bad if we all really hated it. We couldn't, but I know a lot in the chat love it.
What's Flash Forward that Tracy Alexander is talking about? I have no idea.
She's saying that's what I was talking about, but then Tex Rogers said it's called 7 Days.
By the end of the 4th season, Jerry and Charlie left the series to pursue film careers.
Yeah, I don't know if that worked out so well for them, but yeah, that show couldn't hold on to its cast, and Jonathan
Rhys Davies.
Right, Rhys Davies left also. That show, it started off strong. That's what I remember, that the early episodes, I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool, but then I'm like, this is really falling off a cliff, unfortunately.
I just remember watching like 1 or 2 of the early episodes and then not going back to it, and then like the commercials for the seasons as they were coming, I was like, why does this show look so weird by now? And I thought it got like canceled like halfway through or something, and then it came back and then it looked weird and the cast kept changing.
Rob Knob Scubulo. Now I had to play Price's part. He's practiced so much getting that down, but he said SG1. As much as I would love that, that is 10 seasons, so that is a big commitment if we were to try to do that. So
I personally prefer the movie.
I like the movie too. That is one of my top franchises. I rewatch that yearly.
I'm not judging. I'd rather watch The Land of the Lost. So you want to remember that? Yes.
I do. Sure. I don't know if Price would be doing for that. That might be too goofy for Price.
Oh man, it's so goofy.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no. There's also I'm thinking there's The Land of the Lost, yes, but Lost World from the early 2000s with it was like the Sir Arthur Conan Doyle book, but it had a sexy cave girl in it.
Listen, I'm not against anything. When the time comes, we'll try to decide what to do. One thing for sure, it won't be the new Quantum Leap, because that would make people miserable. People would show up like miserable every week if that was it.
I was gonna make a joke that whenever this ends, we'll just start doing the new one.
As a joke, we can do like the first episode.
No, that's way too much for me.
Even that's too much. Yeah.
I have some standards.
Yeah, I mean, I would suffer even doing like the first one. But in any case, back to this episode. Let's see. What are your thoughts, Ro? What did you think about this episode?
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I think it was, again, some little things that were a little bit of a head scratcher, but I think another solid episode. And last week we talked about the producers kind of swinging for the fences and sometimes not hitting. The last couple of episodes were good. They were kind of solid stories. This one kind of goes along with that sensibility, but I feel like there were some things in there that were just a little too weird, a little too off, that kind of threw me out of the story for one. But overall, I think it was still a solid attempt and a really good story. I really like the actor, the older actor. I mean, he was fantastic.
He was great.
Every
Mhm.
time he was in a scene, I was like at attention because his presence was really great.
He looked like the type of guy that would be in Western stuff, and he really
Yeah,
was, and he
absolutely.
brings
Yeah.
that energy, and he just knows exactly. He was perfect for that. He had a lot of character. I agree with you. That was probably the strongest thing this episode had, was the casting of that actor.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't have him, you wouldn't believe it. Like, that's what sold this whole thing, even as preposterous as it was. I think that actor did a great job.
Yeah.
So yeah, I still think that if I'm thinking like last week, I like the Temptation Eyes one with Tamlin Tamita more. That episode I thought was like, I like that episode. I like the fact that she could see what he really looked like. I don't know why, but that was a nice.
Well, that was a different take, and I think when a show goes as long as this one at that time, up to that point, I think it's really a welcome change to kind of shuffle things up a little bit and keep the audience on their toes.
Storm King says, "Food for thought, Knight Rider." I want to tell you, Knight Rider. I do enjoy that show. It is ridiculous. We'd be sitting there analyzing every episode, and no plot point would make any sense in their writing. It is preposterous, yet somehow there's a certain charm about it that it's hard not to like. And the sillier and more crazy and nonsensical it gets, the more you kind of enjoy it. But that's a very specific kind of show.
If we do Knight Rider, we might as well do Baywatch.
Knight Rider's better than Baywatch, but
How dare you, sir?
The Dead Man says that this actor upstaged Bakula in this episode. You know what? I agree.
think so. Yeah.
Yes,
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that he was just perfect casting, and that was great. Sean, what did you think about this episode?
I love it. I have no issues with it. I initially went, they're just gonna kill each other in cold blood. Whatever. I feel like when you're young, and especially in the 80s, there were a lot of like tropes or like storytelling devices that you just kind of overlooked, and that like as you get older now, you're like, wow, that's kind of weird to see people doing that in this scenario. But I have such a high standard for storytelling, but at the same time, I feel like I have such a naive little kid standard also, where it's like nothing in this episode bothered me. I totally bought all of it. And then like the 3 instances, like I said, Sam diving out of the way as an 82-year-old man, them saying his reflexes were better, and then him having him dead to rights and it all working out. And the I swear it's like God put him in the situation just to be fast and face that fate, face that destiny. I liked the episode overall, and I loved Pat as the old cowboy bad guy.
I agree. I'm just wondering, Tracy Alexander, I would love to hear Price's perspective on what?
Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. Which one is that?
That's like the fairy tale one in modern.
Okay.
Wasn't there 2 of those? It was like that competing with Grimm or something.
Yeah. I have a feeling this one was the better one because I heard a lot more about this show than Grimm.
But I don't know.
I once had a friend of mine that lived near me. He moved away, and him and his wife used to watch this show. His wife actually used to love that Once Upon a Time show, and she used to always watch stuff that sometimes would not be my preference. And I remember coming over once, and I was forced to watch one of these Once Upon a Time things. Maybe because I didn't watch from the beginning and I didn't have much context. I understood that it was like some fairy tale thing, but like it's happening now or something like that. I kind of looked at it. I didn't really know how to feel about it. And I wasn't as excited as she was. She was super excited.
That's most female shows for me. My wife is watching. My wife's watching Yellow Jackets right now, so I'm just like.
But maybe this show like has merit. I mean, the people here, including Tracy, they seem to like a lot of stuff that we like. That's like more science fiction orientated. This show specifically, I've only seen one episode. I don't remember what happened. I just remember kind of, not really understanding the full context of it. So it's not really fair for me to judge it one way or another, but it didn't also make me want to go and explore more. I didn't say, oh, I got to watch more of this now. So that was my reaction.
I am loving all of the Knight Rider love that's in the chat. Like, yes, Kit versus Car was epic. And I've been actually watching this guy that got one of the movie kits and has been restoring it, and just watching his videos on restoring it and then driving it around and driving it to scenes from the show. Been cool.
I have two memories of that show. Sorry, not to interrupt you, Price.
No, go on, go on.
My two main memories is being in kindergarten and really wanting the hell out of that toy, the car and the action figure, and the like power wheels. And then my only other memory of any episode is Facts of Life, when I forget his name, Gary Coleman hid in Kit and they were gonna blow it up for a stunt, and it was like a 2-parter episode. But that was not Facts of Life.
It's funny that the response for Knight Rider is like superb. Like everybody loves. Listen, I like Knight Rider. Don't get me wrong. I do like it.
Sci-fi.
It is. I mean, there's. I can't say that I don't like Knight Rider myself. When the time comes, we'll think what to do. But
yeah, maybe we should do like a whole bunch of pilots and like see what our feel is with them. But Caleb Levine said Battlestar Galactica. Me and Ro on his podcast have talked a bit about that. That's a fun one. That's shorter. Definitely would want to skip the 80s series.
We don't talk about that.
You know what? When the time comes, we'll see what we do. Maybe before we, like you said, before we lock in, we can do like a certain amount of time where we're exploring different shows, and we're all seeing how people react, or you know, we all. It's also a nice, fun activity to do.
Sure.
So,
just after my dad's knee surgery, I bought him the complete set of the $6 Million Man.
That's another good one.
Oh, another good one.
I haven't seen that in
Yeah,
a long
Are
time.
you trying to be funny? Like, hey, man.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I guess now it's up to you, Nick, to say what you thought of this episode.
Okay. So I liked overall this episode. I was a little let down by the ending, just because it felt like so quick. Like I was, I can't remember what was going on. Something distracted me for a moment, and then I'm like, wait a second, the episode's over? Like, what? And so I was like going back, and I'm like, oh, he pulled the gun. Like I didn't hear a shot, so I was like, why? Trying to figure that out, and I kind of thought Sam's mentality and the whole thing he'd been preaching to the grandson the whole episode so strongly, so kind of laying it on really thick, that I thought he was just gonna drop the gun and say, you know, make his peace, and then somehow they would get a TV show together. When I was expecting it to be the cookie cutter thing because of how it was, but I didn't hate the ending. It just felt like it was kind of very quick and abrupt to me for all the buildup. But I guess that's how a gunfight would be. I did like the fact that Al pointed out the fact that despite the fact that they were doing the cliche gun standoff at noon, that's not how a lot of those actually happened in the Old West. People just shot people. They didn't make a plan and come out at noon. That's a TV trope.
Well, they said that it was a different length. He's like, I'd rather be back there, and he's like, it only took place within like 10 to 15 feet.
But he made the comment about how typically people just ambush people. Like they didn't schedule a let's go out and shoot each other at noon tomorrow. Like they would just shoot somebody in the back or whatever in the Old West because it was lawless. There wasn't these like supposed rules that they're talking about. What's funny is just 3 days before I watched this episode, I've been going through Castle with my family, and they did a thing where they went to a dude ranch, and they had like some old cowboys from the past had committed a murder, and it was like they were unveiling it, and so it was that. But in just like that one, there were like certain things that like didn't make sense, like the guy that supposedly committed the murder in like the 30s looked like he was 50, and this was supposed to be in the early 2000s, and I'm like, he's not old enough. But it just kind of, it's a fun thing, doing the Old West thing, kind of as a trope. And with this show, because it's boxed itself in to Within Sam's Lifetime, I like how they figured out a way to still have an Old West story, even though it's not the Old West. But I did think that the sheriff that was just like casually, yep, they're going to plan on shooting each other tomorrow. Let me play some bets on that.
Star Trek Enterprise. That's one that also, when the time comes, we can consider that one because it has Scott Bakula and it has Star Trek. I know Nick doesn't love that show, so that's the only part that
we will convince him.
No, you won't. I will. That is,
he hates it.
You will like Star Trek Enterprise.
I just like that show. That said, I like a lot of characters on the show. There are episodes that I love. But overall, I do not like that show, its effect on canon, especially because it's a prequel. And there are a lot of things I don't like about that show. I don't like that. I feel like it doesn't give great writing to Scott Bakula as captain. I think they kind of make him a weak captain. But I have no problem watching that show, calling out my gripes, and also saying what I love. Because it's not like it's not like Discovery where I won't even turn it on. It's just one of those things that I was the guy on the message boards at that time in group chats going, this is destroying Star Trek. And this is around the time of like the prequels. And, we were like, it's going to, so I just find it funny, just like the Star Wars prequels, that like there's so much. It seems like the general narrative is that it's love and it was nothing like this. But I remember being in the chat rooms at the time and stuff like that, and it being a lot more vocal of nerds going like, we don't like this. And we were hate watching Enterprise and then right afterwards going online and talking about it.
It's been a long time.
And I don't hate
getting from there to here.
I like that. And have you seen the version of the guy who plays Reed?
Seen the what?
Say again?
The guy who plays Reed on Enterprise.
Malcolm, or are you talking about Trip? What are you talking about?
Not Trip. The security officer. Yeah, he does a version of that, and there's because he starts talking about how his character deserved more, and it's just funny. And
yeah, that was the Malcolm character. I know exactly which one. That he said he wasn't happy with what they did with his character. Let me quickly just go through the chat and make sure I shout out to everybody, which I probably have throughout the stream, but I'll do it quickly. Super Mario Brothers 3, who wrote a lot of great comments at the beginning. Thank you. Tex Rogers, Ron Donofero, Lisa Katrayan.
Mary
I hope
White.
I don't miss anybody. Marla Sharondoff, Kit Kat, Mary White. Mary White, thanks for the super chat, by the way. Ron Donofero, thanks for the 2 super chats. Lisa Katrayan. I think I said it, but I'll say it again. I saw Tracy Alexander here a few times. Caleb Levine.
Yep.
Mur Rockstra.
Storm King.
Storm King. Tex Rogers.
Bayona Rad.
The Dead Man. Bayona Rad was here at some point. And let's see.
Sacrif Scuttlebutt Podcast.
Scribe Light, I didn't even notice. He always just kind of shows up and disappears. Sacrif Podcast is obviously your Storm King.
Who that?
Says
Real
Darnum
Sean
Late.
Krummel.
Tracy Alexander.
Rockstra.
Rockstra, we said. Marla Sharondoff, I'm sure we said.
Man,
Kubla.
I haven't been around for a while, but it's crazy to see all these people still showing up.
Yeah, Bayona Rad. That's what you were saying.
Us. They love us.
They're happy that you're here, Sean. That's
me and my curls.
We had Tracy Alexander a few times.
There was Ghost Fixer.
You might think, Sean, that Price is talking sideways, but people really do miss you, Sean.
That's true.
and was talking out of the side of his mouth.
Storm
Yeah.
King and Ghost Fixter, I remember seeing, and Ron Donofero, thank you again for the super chats that I just ran into.
And because Sean made a joke one of the last times he was on that every time he seems to come on, he leaps into a woman. The moment I saw the outro of
Yeah,
him leaping into a black woman, I
Sean
go,
will be back.
oh, I wonder if Sean will be there next week.
Sean only leaps into the body of a woman.
Dave C, nice
You know
to
that
see you.
explains your cave woman fascination.
Ghost Fixter.
There's a
Oh, he
dirty
knew all
joke
about
in there
him
somewhere.
jumping into a cave woman.
And Nick may have
Caleb
just
Levine, I think I
made it,
said.
even though I talked over him. I'm sorry.
I think we've gone over everybody. And just quickly, Ro, you could find him on the Sacrif Podcast. Anywhere there's podcasts, whether it's Amazon, it's Apple, it's Spotify, you can find his podcast. Highly recommended. He has his own YouTube channel, which you should also subscribe to. Sean, if you could copy and paste his channel into the thing.
Yeah.
Then we have Sean Krummel, which there's Crumb's Comics, and you should drop that link as well. He also has his YouTube channel, The Real Sean Krummel. And then you have Nick Rowe, in addition to the podcast, he's also the co-founder of a group of podcasters called the Red 5 Network. And Nick is a member of that network. So they're colleagues. And
We're work
he
friends.
has his channel, The Backyard Tardis, and actually it's just Backyard Tardis on YouTube. And if you could drop the link to that, Sean.
I gotta find it again.
Let me quickly. I'll find it. Let's see. I can do this.
Every time I search it, I find a bunch of nerds making TARDISes in their backyard.
Well,
what is it?
you're looking
Cybersonic 43. What is it, Nick?
8472.
Oh,
See, if you
man.
were a Voyager fan, Price, you would
I
know
put
that.
it. I put it in the banners area, so all you have to do is go in there, edit, copy, and then drop it in there.
I see.
Like
I
besides
added,
this, but it's in
Rose
there.
Well, if I
actual
put it here, people
podcast.
can actually click on it, and then it's an
Yeah.
easier fix.
Mm-hmm.
Fix.
Sacrif. Podcast.
We do have
Okay,
a
I
show
got
this Saturday.
yours.
We do have a show this Saturday. We're going to be talking to Colin Cantwell's former partner, ex-wife. Colin Cantwell no longer with us, unfortunately. But he's the one guy at ILM that helped design some of your favorite ships back in the day.
I'm gonna try and catch that. I don't know if I'll be able to, or if I'll have to watch it on the replay.
Yeah, we'll TiVo it for you, brother.
Yeah.
See, the dead man
Get
gets
my
it.
VHS
How do
out.
you shake hands with an 8472?
And so we put all the links here. Such a great turnout tonight. I'm happy that Sean was able to be with us. I think Script was running late. He had some work thing. He really wanted to make it, and he said that he would make it at some point. But I guess he couldn't, couldn't get out of what he
Couldn't make
was
it
doing
happen,
for
yeah.
work. And I
That's what
understand that.
Marocco said at the beginning. Oh, Sean's coming? Ugh.
Thank you, Marion.
Well,
Thank you to everybody.
I didn't
think,
find out till a little bit before the thing that my daughter was supposed to have a book fair tonight at school. And then I had my old man get off my lawn moment when we got there, and they're like, no, the books aren't here. You order those books online.
Oh,
We just have games here.
oh.
I'm like, what? What? A book fair where there are no books?
Welcome to the 21st century.
Nice.
it's either you're roboting or I'm roboting.
Oh,
But
maybe it's me.
in any case, we're so happy that you were able to make it, Nick. And I kind of lost you guys for a second, but you said you had an old man at the lawn moment, and I kind of got the idea. In any case, thank you for being here, Nick. I didn't usually do the usual intros. Nick is a minister at his local church, and there's locksmith and the sheriff, and
I know
but you already know him.
him.
He has goats and then a farm and whatever. You already know it.
Everybody knows. Yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm going to put out our outro, and we'll be on our way. Bye.
I'm such an awesome guy.